Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel on a good Saturday. First off, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Really appreciate that. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave it below or send it foxjunk73@gmail.com. So yesterday I posted a video on installing exhaust on Project Field Snake, and today I'm going to cover fuel tank assembly. Basically, I bought a brand new fuel tank for this car because I'm doing a ground up restoration on this car. If your tank's clean on the inside, you don't need any fuel tank as long as it's clean. Now, if it's starting to rust on the inside, there's not a lot you can do about it. I mean, you can try to, I guess people say you can boil them out or clean them out. I've never tried to do that actually myself. So I normally buy a new tank for projects like this, but if it's just something that's a daily driver or something like that, I'll just use the tank that's in it. If I've got to replace the fuel pump, just make sure it's clean. And always put a new fuel filter on there. So I bought a new tank. This is a Spectra tank. This one's stainless steel. It looks pretty much OEM. Dorman also makes a tank that's painted like a primer gray color. It's not square on the corners, it's round. It's cut a little bit cleaner than the Spectra tank. The Spectra tank is more like an OEM Ford tank, and it's galvanized stainless, so it looks factory on the outside. It's not painted, so that's why I'll go with the Spectra tank. Now these went way up when I bought this tank. I think, of course, everything's went up, but I think when I bought this tank, I think it was like $129 or something like that when I got it. I just did a little searching before I started this video. This tank's went up to $175. So if you can use your tank, use the one you got. If you're just daily driving, you don't have to replace the tank. I wouldn't stress that as much. I also bought a new Delphi fuel pump assembly for that. These have also went up. They're $125 now. They used to be $89. Everything's just going through the roof. So that's what I said yesterday. People don't realize what I put in one of these cars when I restore them. But when I say restore one, I do everything, nut, bolt, basically everything on the car's been done. So I'll show you what I've got done. I got a little bit of head start. I've done a little bit of cleaning this morning. I'll show you the parts that I bought for this, parts that I'm going to reuse. I've already repainted the fuel straps. I've got to clean the fuel tank cover. I haven't done that yet. And cleaned one of my filler necks with some rust kill. I'll show you what that looks like. And I've got a head start on some of the nuts and bolts. So sorry to keep flapping my lips. I'll show you what I'm talking about and the parts that I'm using. Hey everybody, Baker. She's making an appearance today. So, all right. So this tank is the Spectra fuel tank. Like I said, it's more of a stainless finish, galvanized, just like the factory tanks. When I say the Dorman tank, they round the corners. They're not squared. It doesn't have this little flap that's bent up like a factory tank. I want to say it's round as well, and it is also painted. Now, this is the Delphi fuel pump. Like I said, you can see the overspray on this box from sitting around for a while when I was in Utah painting the inside and the bottom of the car. When I bought that, I think it was $89. It's now $125, so they've went up almost 50 bucks. So that's brand new. The tank, like I said, it was 120 something. Now it's 173. I did also take these old pads off of another fuel tank in Utah. So this was actually in a box in the other garage, and these foams are actually off of another fuel tank. I just used urethane adhesive to stick them back to this tank. Now, I did order one of these the other day just so you guys could see it. Not going to use it. This is I guess an LMR foam kit, not sponsored at all. I guess it's just a peel off sticky back. So if you got a brand new tank you're installing in the car and you want to replace your foams and not reuse your original ones, because this one here on this side, it just got some wear right in here. It's not bad, but a little bit. The foam is important. It keeps metal to metal contact underneath the car, so I always replace that. Also, I bought a new sending unit. I had to get this from LMR. I didn't find anybody local that carries those at all. New filler neck seal, always important. And I also buy the vacuum solenoids that go on the top of the tank. Sometimes when you try to reuse these, they're really stuck, and half the times you end up cracking them. Dan Carpenter's making a Ford tooling part along with the gasket as well. So that's the tank itself that's going in the car. Oh, I will tell you on the Delphi pump, when you go to install it, one of these tabs is going to be too big. Let me move this out of the way. So when you try to, shit falling everywhere. So when you try to install it in the tank, this little hole right here is not big enough. For whatever reason, I don't know, it's too small. So what I normally end up doing is on the pump itself, I'll just end up take a file, this little notch right here where it goes into the fuel tank. I'll normally file that down a little bit till it seats correctly into the tank. So installing the fuel pump, super easy. I normally use some grease on the seal. It came with a brand new seal kit. It's right here. It comes with new seal, new trim ring, and all that other stuff. I'll put a little grease in there to hold the seal in place, and then put a little bit of grease on top. That helps tighten it down and seals up pretty good. That's what I've always done. Now, filler neck. This one here isn't been cleaned up yet. It looks like teetotal butt. What do I use to clean that? This stuff over here works amazing. This Rust-Oleum rust dissolve stuff. It takes all this old surface rust completely off. This one looked exactly like that one. It brings it down to a nice bare metal finish. Now you can clear coat this before you put it in the car so it doesn't rust. Just make sure you tape this part off, because this goes in the fuel tank, because if gasoline's just going to eat that paint right off, they're going to mess up your injectors. So don't paint this part of that if you're going to do that. You can also use like a galvanized paint to keep it from rusting, to make it look shiny. I'm probably going to clear coat this one or use my aluminized paint on it. I haven't decided yet. Got the lower seal. This goes in the bottom of the car where the filler neck goes in underneath the car. They do sell these now. Dan Carpenter's making those as well. I had one that was super nice, so I'm going to use that one. And I've got my fuel tank strap bolts cleaned. The bolts for this is already cleaned up. And I've got my bolts for, oh yeah, got this all cleaned up really nice. They're also making seals for this part right here, where it seats inside the car, where the fuel cap door goes on the quarter panel. These are in pretty good shape, so I'm just going to reuse them, but they do make this seal, and they also make that seal where it sits on the bottom of that. This hose right here, this was off an LX, the 93 Cobra and GTs. This is the LX hose right here, and this is the 93 Cobra hose. It's quite a bit longer, but this one off the Cobra, it was really nasty and kinked up, so I went to the old Vato Zone and just got some new fuel hose and put in there. And also on the bottom of these hoses, most people don't know this, there's a plug, a plastic plug that goes in the bottom, that goes in between the bumper cover and the drain tube, so the drain tube's just not flopping down inside the back bumper cover when you get it on. Let's see, what I got left? Fuel straps, they're already painted. They're drying up. Just put some, I clean them up really good, just some rattle can gloss black. Always looks really nice. I have to clean up my wiring harness a little bit. Oh, one more important thing. This new tank, this is the support that goes on the factory tank. So I've never tried to drill a hole to put it back on this Spectra tank. I've never actually reused this piece when I restore a car. I'm afraid that if I try to drill it, I'm either going to drill in the tank and have the tank leak. It's one thing about this tank. I wish they would seal the bottom to the top a little bit closer. Spectra, if you're watching, so we can put this piece back on. That would make it look a lot more OEM. But for now, I just leave them off. It doesn't seem to hurt anything. So, but yeah. So I'm going to get the rest of this put together. I'm going to get the tank assembled, get the pump in, send the unit in. Get everything where it needs to be, finish cleaning up a few parts, and then we'll get it put in the car. So stay with me. All right, so I got the tank assembled. I set the LMR foam pads on there just to show you guys where they go and what they look like. Obviously, you know that from where the other ones are placed, but they actually look like they're cut pretty good. I wish they would have made the upper one that goes around the fuel pump itself out of the same material the factory did, but the other two foam ones look really nice. So let's check it out. All right, so this assembled fuel tank. So these are the LMR foam pads. They actually made them cut pretty good. So it looks like you just peel that off, I'm sure, and it just sticks on your new tank. But this one here is foam like the other two, but the factory one's made out of like almost like a sound deadener material. I guess you could buy some black sound deadener and make a new piece for that if you wanted to go more OEM correct. But so that's what the LMR ones look like. Not too bad. So this is the tank. Looks pretty good. Now the duct tape. A lot of people seen something on Facebook the other day about somebody asking about some of his cars. He's seen it on there, some didn't. This was used to hold the fuel tank cover to the fuel tank at the factory during fuel tank installation. If your car's missing that, and it's on both sides, this side is normally like that. If it's missing the tape, it's not a big deal. It just means somebody put a fuel pump in at some point and did put the tape back on it. It's not a huge deal. So always check these out. Make sure they're in good shape. Now all these hoses off this car, off a 86 GT, I had like 28,000 miles on it. You see how clean the harness is. You can see the part number on the plug and all that stuff. So I was lucky I had that. But always check these out. These cars are getting old. These are starting to deteriorate and get wore out. I don't know anybody that makes them, but just check them out. Make sure the ends aren't cracked, aren't split on both ends. Up in here, check your O-rings. Make sure it's got O-rings in it. I've seen them missing O-rings. Also, I got the new vent tube put in and all that stuff installed. Now it does fit a little loose, but I checked I got a factory one that's underneath down here. That's the 20-something mile 86 tank. The factory one was the same way. It was a little loose as well. I got the new seal installed for the filler neck. I got the filler neck painted. I put some high temp aluminum on there. It looks really good. Looks factory. I got everything down in here cleaned up, ready to go back in. The vent tube and all that stuff on it. So that's it for the tank. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the tank put in the car. Once I get it installed, I'll do a video what it looks like, final install. It's just a fuel tank. Everybody knows what they look like. But if you want to wait and check it out and let me know what you guys think, good, bad, ugly, indifferent, let me know. All right, so I got fuel tank in. I'm not gonna take much else time. You guys are probably tired of watching this crap anyway. So I got fuel tank in, fuel lines hooked up. I got the filler neck put in first. Let's quit rambling. Let's check it out. All right, first of all, we'll get a good look from the back here. Light on the subject. That's the tank. I put a little bit of tire shine on the plastic cover. Not much, just a little bit. You see up in here, got the filler neck cleaned up good. That's that little plug I was talking about on the filler neck part that rubs down when the fuel gets inside the plastic door there where you fill the car up. Got all that looking super fine. Got it all hooked up. Don't forget to use your little bit of dielectric grease on all your electrical connections. Forgot to say that earlier. Just look up in here. Got new fuel filter installed, new clips, all that's done. Now, these new fuel tanks, right here where the strap goes on both sides, you want to take a hammer and kind of bend them a little bit. Otherwise, you're going to fight these new fuel tanks when you try to put them in the car, because the factories come pre-bent here and over there where that other strap's at. If you don't do that, you're gonna play hell doing that. I'll show you what I'm talking about on the original tank. But that's it. There's that little bit of duct tape. I use Gorilla tape. It's just right there on the bottom of the tank. Right there. Keeps the tank cover on the tank when you're installing it. Makes it super easy. Filler neck, again, looks really good. So this car is maybe a little excessive for some people. Everything on this car is new. Quad shocks, rotors, calipers, brake lines, new hard lines. Redid the rear end housing, isolators, redid the control arms, bushings, upper control arm bushings, you name it. Everything on this thing has been kind of redone. So if you're still hanging in there, let me show you this stock tank real quick. I'll show you how it's bent. So if you see right here where the straps go, so the tank's bent there, and it's also bent on the other side. It's like that on both sides. Well, that one's not right there, but it's right there, and those two spots right there. So there you go, everybody. That's kind of it for putting in a fuel tank. I appreciate you guys watching the video. If you got any questions, leave them below. Like, share, don't like. Good, bad, and different, I'll take it all. Again, thanks for watching. Thanks for my subscribers. If you subscribe, please do so. I'm going to try to get this thing running tomorrow. Got maybe 5 or 10 things I got to finish doing. and we'll see if this bad daddy starts. So if you want to stay tuned to the channel, maybe go back, if you're new to the channel, go back and look at how I got this car, what I started with, what it looks like now. I should have had it done, but you know, moved cross country and I've been slacking ass all summer. So again, thanks for watching this video. If you got any questions about fuel tanks, parts, what parts I use, where I get my parts from, foxjunk73@gmail.com, or, you know, ask me below. Thanks again, and y'all have a good evening.